And of course, a very good evening to each and every one of our members of the panel. This is Two Macs and a Dram. We're catching up with Simone Musgrave tonight to find out about her latest release of what can only be described as super cute, Swigs. Owen O'Reilly of SIP Exclusive also joins us to share what he's doing and to help survive the COVID-19 pandemic. He's going to be showing us how to mix up some simply delicious cocktails, and we'll also feature some great deals for those of you wanting to try out his recipes. So it's Two Macs and a Dram with Hector, McBeth, and myself, Guy McDonald, and it's a very warm welcome. Simone, let's start with you. These are very cute.
How cute are they?
And why have you chosen to go with a small bottle? I mean, it's a practical choice. It's a beautiful bottle. But what drove you to this decision?
So you may remember that we started with our big bottle, which everyone loved, and then we launched our little minis. And at that stage, you know, we were much smaller. We couldn't get our minis in this shape. So we went with our minis, which have become a little bit of a famous launch and iconic. And very quickly, our consumers labeled it the handbag gin. So really what I always love to do is reinvent categories. And we reinvented the mini. I mean, the mini's been around, right? Everyone's got a mini, but nowhere was it so sort of cute and used and sort of gifted. And we get pictures every day of people making 21st cakes and 30th cakes with these little minis on top. So they really have become a favorite. And essentially what we're doing with this size is our 200 ml. So it's 4 double shots. It's bottle service for 2. And it is reinventing the nip or the half jack. So we want to play with these categories because we still believe that you're still going to buy the mini for gifting, for traveling to the beach, for sneaking into concerts. But you sometimes want to get a little bit drunker. No, not really the topic we want to talk about now during COVID, but you maybe just want a few more drinks. A lot of people have said to us, you know, you take the big bottle of Musgrave to a braai and it's kind of awkward leaving and putting your bottle back in your cooler box. You know, it's a 450 spend. So this size, you could actually take 1 gin and 1 brandy with you, or both of our gins, and you're sure to finish it, and you don't mind offering one out to a friend. So it's really to give our consumers their flexibility of having different sizes in Musgrave for different occasions. And also, we all know everyone's under price pressure. Musgrave is at the top of the pile. So we're offering this at a really easy $1.99 pickup price. In fact, if we hadn't have been shut down, you could have bought this on Take-A-Lot at $1.49. And really just to say that everyone can partake in a Musgrave experience, whether it's a 50 Rand mini, a 149, 199, 200 ml, and then the big bottle and for different occasions. So we've launched it across the range.
Fantastic. And as you said, it's perfect size if you have to smuggle it as well, which is great.
Absolutely. And you know, when you're in a restaurant and you want a bottle service for you and your girlfriend or your boyfriend, you can have bottle service for 2. So that's 2 double shots, and it's not going to hit you back 1,000 Rand.
Excellent. Have you done it right across the range or just with the brandy?
We've done it across both gins and both brandies. So Musgrave Copper, the vanilla and the black honey, and then the pink and the original gin. And we've also called it Swigs. So it's a new brand. And we just thought it's quite fun. It sort of tells you what to do. We've also launched merchandise with it. So you can put it in like your little fanny pack with your phone and carry it around with you. So it's just a bit of a fun, playful space. And we're hoping that this whole half jack space will be reignited with our little Swigs.
Absolutely, and I think like we used to, in the old day, we used to do what we used to call our cigar malts. So we used to select malts specifically for different cigars, and we also used to do them in the 200 ml because it was perfect for sharing because it lasts about the same time as a Corona does, which is an hour 10-minute smoke. So you and your mate, you sit down, you have a cigar with a couple of those. So I can imagine those. In fact, Simone, it's a date. You're not going to smoke cigars with some copper honey soon.
100%. I'm up for it.
Hector, to be fair, the Corona, you didn't have to mention that because it's lasting a lot longer than the cigar would.
Absolutely, but I think like it is also. I think the big thing that's annoying me the most about this lockout, apart from the fact that I now have to use candlelight to do a webinar, is the fact that it's our responsibility to take responsible drinking seriously. And I think the smaller swig also does help that. So you take one of those to the party, and the two of you can consume one of those, and you're well below the required level of alcohol in your bloodstream. So take that responsibility as well. Like you say, you can take two different flavor choices as well. It just helps you to sort of do that as well. And the bonus is we've obviously managed to stick it into these wonderful sort of cocktail packs that Owen has done for us as well. So it's quite an easy format to work with.
Yeah, we found, so we've had a lot of these, we only launched last week, so sadly we can't sort of continue, but within the first week we had, I think, 600 packs go out to Zoom functions. So people drinking, they get their little box delivered with a Musgrave swig and all the bits and pieces, and everyone on Zoom can pour a drink together. And it's perfect for that size. And a mini maybe is just a bit too snop. So this gives you, two people the chance to share.
Hector, quick question for you. Why did the half jack kind of disappear from flavor of the month? What happened there?
I think it was just the brands that were using that format sort of just made it as cheap as possible, because they were looking for they removed that sharing, caring sort of attitude of drinking responsibly, and rather went for mass product, and realized that their market didn't actually afford a more expensive drink. So they made it about affordability and about binge drinking for people with less money. So what happened to that whole range? It became associated with a cheaper brand. But I'm glad to see that in the last year, we've been moving back to 500s and 200s with real top-notch brands, saying, listen, it's not about volume, it's about quality, and sharing that spirit, which is good to see that change and like I say, that people taking responsibility for social interaction and drinking responsibly.
And I think it's also, sometimes you want to kick off with a whiskey or a brandy, and you want to have a gin later, or vice versa. So kind of gives you that flexibility to buy both and have one type of drink early on in the evening and maybe one later.
Are there any questions for Simone from the panel? Clifford has a question. Clifford, you go ahead.
Hi, Simone. Maybe you can delve a little bit into why brandy? Why go, from gin to brandy?
Sure, and it's a common question, and to be honest, it certainly wasn't on my plan. I always talk about incidental accidents in Musgrave because, frankly, very little has been on the plan. But things have just come to me, and I've sort of followed my gut, and this really came to us. KWV came to us and said, as they did a few gin suppliers, and said, we really need a young, innovative brand to do something with brandy. We're losing 1 million liters a year. Young people are not drinking brandy, women are not coming into brandy, and we as big brands don't know how to innovate. And I was like, well, I've never drank brandy either. I don't know anything about it except when people fight in a bar. And so, I always say I'm not a gin expert either. I'm a brand person. So I started to investigate what is the story that brandy can tell me. And Musgrave is really about that richness of Africa, the heritage story, the ingredients and the flavors of Africa. And it started to really resonate. The history is so rich. It is truly something made here and owned by Africa or South Africa. We have the best in the world. And so it started to fit with my brand, whereas vodka and the other spirits, I couldn't find the story. And I'm not a big fan of making up stories. So I started to see how it could fit with Musgrave. And so we went down the journey with KWV, and it didn't work out. And we ended up working with Distil, and them saying, well, we've actually got a hell of a lot of brandy that we don't know what to do with, because we can't sell it either. And and so I said, well, what have you got? I would like to bring our Musgrave flavor to the story. In the background, I'd always wanted to do something with this honey. Our family being involved in Zambia, we knew about this beautiful black honey, and the bees only produce this honey in winter. It's from a single forest area in the national parks, and the local communities all collect this honey and bring it to a central point. It's very runny, it's pitch black, and it's quite savory and marmitey. And so I thought, oh, this is the best place. Of course, the product developers and the distill guys said, you're absolutely crazy, it'll never work. But I found there was some legislation there that I could put honey in brandy. And I said, well, just try it. And then the other one, we actually started with spice and vanilla, and it didn't work. It really just tasted like a Christmas tree. So we ended up just with the vanilla. And for me, that represents the Indian Ocean islands around Africa. So the story started to make sense. Our flavor story that Musgrave brings started to make sense, and the history. And we've ended up with two beautiful products. The Distill team developed them and worked with them and my story. And I think that if you ask Marie-Louise, she'll tell you that the Musgrave Black Honey for her is the best product she's seen in 30 years. So, and I love her palate, so she knows a lot more about it than I do. But I think for me, it's about bringing an authentic story and saying, well, this is a category we need to look after in South Africa. We need to bring it to women. You know, my passion is always to bring women into this game. And so far, it's been a huge success in that, you know, we're not doing the volumes that gin is doing yet, but everyone who drinks this is blown away, and they said, we never thought brandy could taste like this. And that's really what I wanted to achieve. So long journey to go. We haven't put much money behind it, but I think it's getting the attention it needs, and it's been a year, and I'm happy with those sales. So yeah, that's the backstory.
Absolutely, guys, and I encourage you all to pour a little bit open that swig up and pour some of that honey into your glass, because it really we're going to make a cocktail with it. Obviously, we're going to bring Owen in to do the cocktail soon. But I just would like you to actually just taste this neat as a sipping product, because it really doesn't need anything more than just in your glass neat as a sipper. On the nose, it's got the most gentle sort of honey note. It sort of drifts between molasses and that sort of hint of spice, but it never really goes there. And then it reminds you of that sort of brandy look that you kind of used to, but in such a sort of adult way. It just feels like, you know, brandy's grown up almost. So I really encourage you to just try it neat. It really does, and it's got a beautiful fullness to it as well. Once you put it on the palate, that will remind you a little bit of malt whiskey as well. So definitely something to try. So please, guys.
May I say something, Hector?
Absolutely, Winnie.
First of all, it doesn't taste like whiskey at all. It is very proudly brandy. So I won't have whiskey brought into this sentence or conversation. Secondly, I just wanted to say that both these brandies, this one and the vanilla, we're tasting the honey tonight, but the vanilla one is absolutely gorgeous because it is light and fruity, and it is really, ladies would love it. Everybody that I've given it to has loved it. And I'm afraid, Simone, I'm not messing around with the small bottle. I'm going with a Meneer. And as you can see, it's already had a few doubles poured from it. So right. I just want to wish Simone very well, because this is a fantastic product, both of them. So well done.
Thank you.
Can I ask Simone a question?
Yes.
My first try with it, and it's delicious. I love brandy, and I love the pot stills. And now this infusion, of course. How would you suggest one would serve it? Obviously, we used to mixing brandies traditionally. Obviously, not necessarily the premium stuff. But how would you want this particular expression to be served if you were to suggest it?
So because we are trying to bring new people to brandy, there is a lot of fear around neat drinks and, you know, it's going to be too strong for me. So what our sort of marketing story is to try not add Coke to this in the traditional sense, but to try and add a lightness and a freshness if you are going to mix it. So our two perfect serves, and Owen helps us get there, because I always say he's the chef of drinks. Got an incredible palate. And how do we make this accessible and unscary to the new brandy drinker? So the black honey, we suggested ginger ale and a slice of lime. And, you know, these are Owen's words, but the lime sort of cuts through that richness a little bit. The other beautiful mix with the black honey is the Pura. I don't know if you know the brand Pura. It's the adult soda. is the lemon and ginger, which actually is really beautiful as well, and without the sugar. So those are two nice ones. With the vanilla, we've actually gone extremely light here and just said, you know, just soda, because we don't want anything, it's quite delicate and we don't want anything to kill it. So the purer lemon and ginger would kind of take over, but in flavor. So with the vanilla, we've really gone soda, but a slice of orange. And the slice of orange just sort of, if you think of vanilla, it kind of goes with everything. You could put a piece of chocolate in there, but the orange really just complements that vanilla. So although the mix is quite light in terms of soda or sparkling water, the orange slice brings that flavor element to it. So those are what we suggested. What we find is mostly people don't listen to us and they do what they will anyway. But the message, I guess, is just to try and keep the flavors authentic and not drown it in sugary cokes.
Excellent, thank you. I definitely agree. I think this is definitely a drink that should be drank. It should be imbibed on its own. And I'm actually quite surprised that Winnie likes anything vanilla, knowing Winnie. Hey, Winnie.
What you forget though, Shane, though, is anything that has the word brandy gets bonus points from Winnie. So
Exactly,
you know,
exactly.
I think what we've also tried to do is stay authentic and don't apologize for the flavor. Musgrave is a flavor story. So yes, we are adding flavor. We are doing it legally. There is legislation. It's been approved by the highest guys in the Department of Agriculture, and they really tried to find the gaps not to approve it. But we're saying it is there. Let's bring a contemporary, new, modern approach to brandy and bring people to the category. After all, we want to keep this, the farmers alive, and we want to keep this industry going. So let's get out of our traditional boots maybe and do something fresh. You can see we don't claim age on the bottle either. So, you know, we unashamedly, it's a blend. We know VSOPs and, you know, we just tell it out how it is. And I think that's refreshing and also makes the category a little bit unscary to someone coming into it for the first time.
My final thing on that, Hector, is that we know that brandy definitely needs a change of profile, certainly in this country. And it certainly needs a little bit of help because massaging, because I think whiskey has given it, and other categories has given it a bit of a sucker punch, and it's looking for something fresh. So well done on the product.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we're going to introduce Owen at this stage. So Owen O'Reilly, who's obviously behind the box that you were all given today with the 3 different cocktails inside there, and he'll obviously give you a little bit more detail. But I just would like to introduce him with a couple of his accolades. In 2019, he won the Bar Awards for the Best Mobile Bar Service. And deciding that wasn't enough, he decided to enter World Class from Diageo, and he won the South African leg. And then went on. And where did you finish there, Owen? That was top 8 finish for World Class International?
No, not quite. I'm like not in the top 10 in globals. So, but 50 best basically.
Okay, but you were quite close. You were there into the last round, just before the 8. You fell out, huh?
Yeah, before the 8. Yeah, but I didn't make the top 8 or top 10 basically.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about that journey. Where did it begin for you? Like, I mean, slinging drinks is not an easy thing, especially not in South Africa. It's sort of a really poorly paid job, and unless you got into sort of big flaring competitions in the 80s, 90s, it was kind of a mundane job. So what made you so passionate about alcohol and just sort of getting into slinging drinks?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, my journey kind of started. You know, I grew up in quite a small town. I would say maybe even like a little bit backwards. You know, life was slow and I wanted it a bit faster. So I moved from there to the city, and the city at that time was Pretoria. When I moved there, and I started basically working as a waiter. Well, actually, my first job in Spur was a Chico. Now, I don't know if anyone can remember the Chicos, but it was the clown, you know. And that was kind of my first job until they realized that I don't know what I'm doing as a clown. So I started training as a waiter, did that for a while, made some really good cash. I think that really allowed me to climb out of my box a little bit to really like not be the, because I think in school I was also quite shy. So there I learned how to interact with people. And then I sort of met a bartender that worked at Spur in the service bar who was into like a bit of flair and cocktails, whatever. So I started also helping out in the bar, and that's why I started working. And then I one day just kind of decided to up and move to Margate at the time. And in Margate, I still worked for Spur at the time. And then I started working at this nightclub there called Backline. I mean, if anyone's been to Margate, you would know Backline.
Can I interrupt you, Owen, and ask? Can I interrupt you and ask you? Sorry, what small town did you come from that you moved to Margate?
Exactly. I come from Standerton actually, which is like a small town in Transvaal. Well, basically all you do there is drink and fight. You know, that's it. I think I was a lot of brandy as well, but you know, back then we know brandy with just brandy and Coke. That was it. And then Margaret, I mean, that's where my bar career really started. I met a bartender there. There was this couple who opened a bar called Johnny Rockets, and they wanted to bring like this whole flair scene to Margate basically for all the season times. And this bartender who was working there was I think his name was Lombardo, and he was a guy that worked at TGI Fridays in somewhere in the States, I think. And basically, you know, I saw him flaring and mixing drinks and whatever. And then I just started working there on the side until my boss at the time fired me actually from Backline and said, well, I might as well stay there. And then from there, it all kind of started, you know. That's where I fell in love with like bartending and flair bartending and all of that stuff. And at that time, flair was quite a big thing. Yeah? It's not so big anymore. And then went back to Joburg, Pretoria side, started working there in a couple of bars. Actually, one of my colleagues who works with me now, Dex, I met him there, and we started working, you know, also in a flair bar, which at the time it was called Odds, and that was like a crazy flair fire show bar. And only from there moved to Cape Town, and in Cape Town I learned about mixology and the art of mixology and cocktails and whatever. And instantly fell in love. I mean, I started working for a company called Bartenders Workshop. Kurt Schlachter and Etienne Schlachter, those are the guys. And basically they started training. I mean, Etienne kind of threw me in the deep end and said, you know, a new bar trainer. So I had to go and study all these things. You know, I had to go learn about alcohol and learn about cocktails and whatever, really in a short period of time. I mean, I think he gave me a week time to get my stuff in order. And then just, you know, from there, just kind of felt the passion for it, and that's how I kind of grew into it. And you know, we still did flair competitions, but I always found myself tilting towards the mixology side and the flavor side of things, and really putting like beautiful drinks together, you know. And that was kind of, I enjoy cooking as well, I always have. So I think those two kind of tie in together, and for me, flavors just make sense, and how to put them together. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started, I guess.
Absolutely. So now, sorry, Guy, go for it.
I just wanted to ask about trends in bar work. Would it be fair to say that flaring was a trend? It's no longer a trend. Mixology is a trend. And what do you think we're going to be experiencing when we come out of lockdown and are able to go back to bars? What do you think will be the trend? Are we going to do a full circle back to flaring because people want to see other people exuberant?
Yeah, look, I think flaring in general has become quite a bit of a sport at the moment. I mean, if you look at what's happening in the UK and so on, it's more of a sport than anything else. And then, I mean, there's a new thing called, obviously it's not so new, but called work flair or touch flair. So in my opinion, bartenders, a good bartender will always have a bit of flair, you know, whether it's a little spoon flip or a muddle spin or, you know, a quick shaker toss or whatever. And those are quick and easy things. I think what happened with flair in South Africa was, bartenders kind of got lost in it, and people would stand at the bar waiting for hours for good service. You know, I'm sure everyone has had that sort of happen to them, where you're just standing there and this guy is trying to put two objects in the air, dropping it all the time, and you're never getting any service. And I think that's kind of why it died. And I think the brands also didn't really see the value in it, especially bigger brands like Diageo, for example. Those guys, they were like, you know what, there's more value in mixing great drinks that people can enjoy at home, in bars, You know, and I think personally, trend-wise, where we're going back to, and I mean, I've always been a firm believer in this, is it would be service and the experience that you get, you know. I don't think it's going to be a free road deep situation anymore where you get in a bar and you have to wait in a queue, or wait at the bar and you get a crappy drink in a crappy plastic glass. I think the people who will survive will really have to up their game in terms of what experience they offer people, what kind of drinks they offer people. And the drinks don't have to be super fancy with like mermaid tears and whatever. You know, it just has to be really well put together, really well balanced, good drinks, interesting ingredients. And I think also, you know, for where you are, locality, keep it local, keep it lacquer, you know, like use ingredients that's in your surroundings, and work with brands, you know, that's in your surroundings, and work with good brands that you can find locally. And if not locally, you work with other, you know, interesting brands that people don't know. And I feel like that's where it's going to go to. And I also feel like maybe, you know, cool concept bars will come up again, like where it's an experience where you can sit down, you can do a tasting with the bartender. I mean, I've seen all these, like, what do you call it, like cordoned off places now where they have these hockeys and you can sort of sit in there, you know, like a little cage. I don't want to call it a cage, but I think it's nice and intimate, you know, and you can really create a great service with your customers in there. And I think that's what will make people win going forward, is really providing a great experience and great service. And that's what we're all about at Sip Exclusive anyways. I mean, that's, yeah.
Great. Owen, so let's have a look at the copper honey. Sort of just talk us through your basic sort of flavor profiling of the brandy, and then I think let's get stuck into making that first cocktail. And remember, Shane and Winnie, we're going to check your cocktails first to see if you were listening when Owen poured and made them for you. So follow carefully, the two of you. So if you want to just take us through your philosophy on that fantastic brandy and why we're mixing it the way we are.
Okay,
just hold on, Owen. I just want to push record here quickly.
I hope you guys have a bit of a stove or something to heat this with, because we're going to make a hot drink for this cold winter's night. So, I mean, copper for me, so brandy in general, you know, I mean, I grew up Afrikaans. I grew up on the stuff, you know, on brandy. That was my sort of first introduction to liquor, I guess, was brandy. And, you know, I've always had kind of a bit of an attachment to, I guess. And, you know, when I started working in bars and bartending or whatever, I took a bit of an interest in it, and I actually did the advanced course at Van Ryn's Brandy, the advanced brandy course. You know, and I passed that with flying colors, yeah. Which really made me fall in love with the spirit, you know. And I think South Africa makes the best brandies in the world. I don't think I've tasted better. It's well suited to our palate. You know, we've been doing it for 350 years, so we better be good at it by now. And I think what Simone did with copper is exactly what brandy needed. You know, about 5 years ago, we started working on cocktails with brandy and things like that, and it never really lifted off. It never picked up, and I think the connotation was like, you know, it's karate water, it's bad, it makes you fight, and, you know, this, and peps drink it or whatever. And I think that was the whole vibe behind it. And we try to obviously educate consumers and put liquid on lips and things like that. And I think there's some really great brandies out there. And I mean, copper, the honey, especially the black honey. So I know there's about a blend of between 5 and 20-year-old brandies in this blend. And that little touch of honey, I mean, what Simone did with flavors was just naturally adding more flavor that the brandy already has. And I think that's what makes it great. You know, it just makes it easier, more palatable. It's a 38% pot still, which I think is really great for sipping. And the flavors in here, you know, that black honey just screams a bit of winter for me. It's a lovely flavor to mix with in the first place. Honey in general, and then also, you know, all the dried fruit in here, you like, especially the plum and the prune that I get from this is great. And that's why I went kind of with the cocktail that we're making here today. I mean, I've done some other crazy ones as well. I've done some fig cocktails and, you know, fig cocktails with, like, I think it was a chocolate foam or something like that. Or actually it was like a cardamom and rose foam to keep the to keep sort of with the gins, you know, the Musgrave Rose Gin, the Musgrave 12. Yeah, I just think it's a great mixing product. I mean, and like I said to Simone, when we came up with those simple serves, it was to not mess with the brandy too much. It was just to have a flavor added, a bit of sweetness maybe, and some fresh citrus to cut through the richness of the brandy. Yeah, so should we get into it? Yes?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's grab my box.
Hang on, Owen,
Yeah?
you're first going to show us how to do it, and then we're all going to hot foot off to the kitchen and make it.
Yes.
Yes, he's going to take you through it step by step.
Okay, because I want
so when he
Shane
goes
to
and
watch
gets-
very carefully.
I'm really upset. I couldn't bring the stove across from my place. I have to use my neighbour's stuff.
I've got a copper pot even. I'm totally on top of my game here.
Well, Simone, you should have dropped one off yesterday.
I
I was making tea. I brought a flask.
Okay, cool, guys. So,
I did
so what
manage
you
to get
need
a
for
copper
this-
mug at least.
What you need for this drink is obviously you need a cup or a mug or something, like a teacup. I've got this, or a teacup, or if you have like a brandy balloon glass, you know, anything that can take a bit of heat can work.
Yeah.
Then you need obviously your copper swig. And by the way, I just love what Simone did with the name as well. So she took it from a brandy category to something that's new, which is
I'm
amazing.
teaching you well.
Yeah. Hey, look at that. Can become a marketer now. Okay, so that's what we need. And then obviously you need your jigger. So your jigger in your kit will be this little measuring thing here. The small side is 25 mils. The big side is 50 mils. There should be a syrup in your box. It's actually a mix. It's a salted prune and chocolate syrup. Yeah. And that's already pre-mixed with. Say again?
Did you make this?
Yes, we made it. So the prune syrup is basically cacao nibs, the chocolate pieces, the cacao pieces that you can buy from like wellness stores or whatever. And then the prune juice, I just bought a little bottle of prune juice that you can buy in the shops. And that's got some added sugar, cacao nibs, prune juice, a little bit of salt, and just cook that to get into a syrup. And that's what that is basically. So it's super simple. It's to taste. I just toasted the cacao nibs lightly to release all that flavors and oils. And you'll also see it's got a bit of a fattiness to it. And that comes naturally from the cacao nibs. And then the premix that you've got there is already mixed with the sherry. Okay, so we already mixed the sherry in for convenience, obviously. And obviously not to have a million bottles in the box. So that's already pre-mixed. So that's what we need. And then you need the tea bag. This is a honeybush, just a normal honeybush tea. Also local, obviously from Cape Fynbos. That's what that is. And we need a lemon. Just a lemon, a fresh lemon. And then in your pack, you should have some dehydrated lemons as well. Some dehydrated lemon garnishes. Okay. So, first things first, we need our stove. I've just got a little mobile stove here. Okay, this drink is actually a blaze drink. So blazing means lighting it on fire and pouring from one to the next container. And that basically releases the alcohol. So it's the same as dilution with ice. So it just releases the alcohol with heat, basically. But we don't need to do that. We can just heat it to a nice temperature and release the alcohol slowly like that. All right, so let's start with the swig. Copper honey swig. So with this, we need basically 50 mils, okay? And it is quite light in alcohol as well. It's only 38% ABV. So we can go nice 50 mils, and 50 mils means that you want to pour your jigger all the way to the top, the big side. So you can see it's quite meniscus on top like that. We'll go into our stove without spilling. Okay.
And Owen, for those of us that are just using hot water?
Yeah, you can. So just the same thing. I'll tell you exactly how much to add. For those who's not using hot water, you also do need some water. So, okay, then you can put your tea bag inside. You can pour your tea bag inside your little pot or whatever you're using. Then for a lemon, so the lemon we want to cut, basically just cut the lemon in half, like that, just in half there. And then the recipe on this is basically about 15 mils of lemon. So that is half a lemon squeezed into your mix. And you can just do it by hand. If you do have a squeezer, you can use something like this, which is just a normal lemon squeezer. We also have the Mexican elbows. If you have one of these, you can also use that. Or you can just use your fingers. And just squeeze that in there. Okay. And then on the, I hope everyone's still with me, or I know you guys are watching intently. So on the premix that we did, the salted prune and sherry premix, you basically want to go 50 mils of that, or about 40 mils. So on your big side, you want to pour it not all the way to the top. You can leave a bit of, about a pinky size from the top. Pour that into your pot. And then you just want to add a bit of hot water. So if you're not using a stove, you can add hot water to this, boiled water. And that's also about 50 mils. Watch out if you are using hot water not to burn your fingers. If you're not, then you can just pour a bit of cold water in there and get that on.
If you have to use a bit of hot water, how much do you use?
If you're using hot water only and you're not using a stove, then I'd say go about 50 mils. Okay. So
Sorry,
full
Owen,
shot.
how much water? 50 mils.
If you're going to use only hot water, about 50 mils. Yeah, full
And
jigger.
if I'm going to boil it?
If you want to boil the whole thing, you just put 35 mils of cold water in. That's fine.
Okay.
About a shot and a half.
Okay, and what was the last thing I wanted to ask you? Okay, don't worry, I've got it.
Sorry,
I'm very happy to send all of you full recipes, guys.
Owen, the water, if we put in boiling water in 1.5 or 5.0 moles?
5.0.
Okay, good.
5.0, yeah. So the idea is to actually heat this up a little bit, but you'll still get the same effect by just adding hot water. It won't be as hot as you want it, but that will be okay.
50 mils, David.
Yeah. 5.0. One full double. Do you guys want to see a little blazer? I can show you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's hope I don't burn the place down.
So Owen, mine is on the stove. Is that right?
Yeah. So if you heat it on the
Okay.
stove, Simone, you just heat it to where you can see the sort of the fumes coming off the top, and you can smell the aromas. If you can get that nice aroma, so you can give it a bit of a stir. You should also have a bar spoon in your kit. And with that, you can just give that a little bit of a stir just to mix up all the flavors. And you'll see if
Owen,
you
are
are
you-
heating at your... Yeah?
Are you not, Owen, are you not concerned that the tea bag absorbs some of that brandy when mixing it in
Well,
there?
so before you serve it, we'll just squeeze it out a bit. Squeeze out all that flavors, yeah. Normally so this recipe, we actually make the tea beforehand. We prep it beforehand, and then we do the blazer on it. But obviously I was just scared of doing a blazer with everyone, and we might have a house or two. So I'll just basically squeeze that tea bag a little bit, just get all that flavor out, and then take that out completely. And then we should have it hot enough to do a bit of a, we need to turn that on. So the blazer, I don't know if you guys can see, but it's basically just fire from one to the next. Can you guys see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm doing that at my neighbor's house.
Yeah, so that's basically blazing. I mean, and you can try it if you want to. Just make sure there's someone standing next to you with a fire extinguisher, maybe. I mean, maybe later when this is all done, I'm happy to host a lesson for you guys to do that. That's 100% fine. Cool. So once it's hot enough, you can see all the steam coming off it. You don't want it too hot. You want it to at about maybe 60 to 80 degrees. That's the right serving temperature. You can just pour that into your hot mug or heat-proof mug that you have, or glass. And then the garnish of that is a simple lemon wheel. And then if you do want to, you could obviously go and add a bit of cinnamon if you wanted more spiciness there, or a little touch of clove, or maybe a star anise or something like that. And that's basically it. It's a simple drink. This is based on a hot punch. Punch being basically 5 ingredients, and that's usually spirit, citrus, sugar, water, and spice. And in this case, we've got the sweet copper, and we've got tea as the spice, and we've got lemon juice as the sour, and basically the prune syrup as the sweet, and that's it.
So very nice. You get like you get that beautiful prune flavor, like fruit, stewed fruit, and the honey.
Yes. And I also think like the cherry adds a bit of nuttiness as well, like a little bit of a nutty flavor. Yeah.
It's actually quite a health tonic.
I was just going to say, it sounds like the perfect winter cocktail.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Ideally, you want to fill up that cup.
Yeah. Ideally, yeah. So I also think you guys, if you want to try this, you know what, I can happily share the recipes of Hector to share with all you guys to actually make this in a fuller scale. And I think this is perfect if you do have some friends and family at home, or you have family at home, or you have friends over, and you want to make a big batch of this. You know, you can definitely do like a 2-liter batch or whatever, and just have that as a nice hot drink. Awesome. If we do events, we take it in an urn. We just put it in a big urn, and we have it there at the event, just sitting there, staying hot, and we serve it like that. Very simple, very easy.
Are we garnishing with the...
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, any decent household worth their salt should have 2 urns, one for the soup and one for the brandy punch.
That's it. That's what it should be, yeah.
So Owen has served a similar punch, I guess, in a little bottle, sort of a dinky little bottle like this, maybe a bit bigger like the one you've got your whiskey in, and then he put it in a brown paper bag. And the welcome drink at an event was this bottle in a brown paper bag with a hot punch, and it was so cool. So quite a nice, and really it's arriving at an event in winter with a hot punch was just so nice.
And that was also a gin punch. Hey.
It was a gin punch, yeah.
Yeah. That is nice. Wow.
Delish.
Wow.
I do find you've got to have maybe a small, like, as I sip, I get the alcohol. So it's actually quite nice to have a mug that's the right size.
Yes, that's smaller, yeah. So it's all at the top.
Yeah, so you don't get that, like, alcohol hit. Yeah. But delicious. And super
That's the
simple.
thing about hot drinks. You kind of get it in your face first thing, and then it's like after that it's good. Yeah. I think the perfect serving temperature is about, you know, if you like 55, 60 degrees, then it's great. And you'll see the more you drink this now, when it gets to that temperature, it actually just becomes amazing. Yeah.
Delicious.
The nice thing about it, I think, is it's not overly sweet, because I think that's such a, you find with mulled wines and things, it's just really, and these punches tend to be really, really sweet, but this is fantastic. I mean, the balance is just great.
Yeah. And you can control the sweetness as well. You know, that's why my recipe actually for one serve says 15 to 20 mils of the prune syrup. So you can choose where you want it as well, which makes it nice.
That would be a playing point where you can play with the almost the sugar content of it. And also, I think another thing that, as I was drinking this and came to me, is that I think it's the perfect kind of drink where the whole tea thing has exploded. You know, we've got all these different flavored teas. You could probably play with it,
Oh, yeah.
From a green tea to a different flavored tea, and get a different flavor profile, because the honey obviously complements tea quite nicely. And the brandy gives you that kind of almost hot toddy feel. You know, it's a very interesting drink. It's a nice winter drink, definitely.
Yeah, you can definitely play with stuff like chamomile tea. I mean, if you're really adventurous, you can go with like lapsang souchong, which is that smoky black tea that you get, the Japanese smoky one. If you want to add a bit of a smoke layer to it, you can really play around with that. Yeah, I mean, I tried it with some normal English tea as well, just black tea, and that was also very, very good. Yeah.
I think the honey bush actually brings another dimension to it, because you get the touch of honey, the touch of sherry, which is just in the background and warm, and sherry is actually also one of the flavor profiles of older brandy.
Yeah.
That rancio character, and that comes through in this with the honey and everything. And I mean, I love lemon in any of these drinks, so very, very good. But it doesn't taste medicinal, it tastes delicious.
Awesome.
So please, Owen, do send the recipes to Hector for us.
100%, we'll do that. Yeah, they are nice and simple, so I can send it to you. And if you fancy yourself a bit of a cook as well, the syrup is not super hard to make. It's super easy.
Found a nice little cup, a
recipe
little
as well,
Chinese cup.
please. But I think in future I will make the tea before and warm it up again, because just to steep it a bit longer.
Yeah, that is the best way. So, like I said, it was actually intended to be a blazer. That we made it for the event that we did at Simone's place, and I thought it was just a great drink to go with. But if you do make the tea beforehand and you do let it sit on a pot for a little bit on a nice temperature, it will definitely be an amazing drink. Yeah. And
just top it up with a little bit of fresh brandy so that it doesn't all evaporate.
Yeah. Well, I can see in your big bottle you really like it. So.
Yay!
Simone, very little left in this one.
Winnie.
Well done, Owen.
Yes, darling.
I also think this is something where we can play with a bit of herbs with. You know, we've done a lot of the mixologist competitions. They're bringing some funny things like basil and a bit of rosemary and that kind of stuff. I think this could also lend itself nicely to a herbaceous type drink as opposed to a sweeter tea base. A more savory.
I love that. Yeah. Yes.
I agree.
And the honey has that savory note.
Yeah. Maybe something like a bit of rosemary could work in there.
Rosemary and lemon thyme. Lemon thyme has also got that lovely freshness that it gives, and especially if it warms up, you get the lovely oils coming through. No, marvelous. Shane, will you please make it for me tomorrow night on our date? Oops, sorry. I mean, when I see you again.
But ginger as well. I love ginger with this kind of thing.
So do I.
Owen, thank you very much. This is fantastic. You've really shown us something new, and I see everybody seems to have succeeded in making this. Even myself, who's a little bit slow when it comes to cocktail making, has achieved something. So thank you for making it that easy. We need to move on to the next one because we don't want to lose our audience completely this evening. And Hector?
Absolutely. So we're gonna look at Paul John Nirvana, which is an Indian single malt whiskey made with 6-row barley out of Goa. And Owen's taken an interesting stance that he's doing a classic cocktail Manhattan and just changing it up a little bit. So if you can just briefly touch on the actual red wine mix that you made there and the bitters, Owen, and then go straight into making the cocktail. So Dean, yourself and Simone are going to present this afterwards, so we'll get your input of these two cocktails. So if you can watch him quite closely. So
Hector breaking up
with the next one. I'll talk to
Hector breaking up a little bit there. Let me just
can you hear me now?
Let me just repeat that for you because I can see Dean was saying what. So Dean, you and Simone are going to be presenting your version of this particular cocktail to us. So we'd like to see the finished product.
Okay, perfect.
I'm ready.
Gorgeous.
Okay,
let's do it.
So guys, so for this one, yeah, like Hector's saying, I based this on a classic Manhattan. So Manhattan generally is either it's usually actually rye, but in South Africa we know it as bourbon basically, and a bit of red vermouth. Or if you want to go perfect Manhattan, you can go red and white vermouth on that. And vermouth is obviously, like is a fortified wine with a bit of herbs and spices generally in it. And then obviously a touch of bitters, you know, just to sort of balance that all out. So we went a little bit different. The Paul John for me did have some nice flavors to play with, and I also found a nice honey flavor. This to me is like a nice, almost like a, I mean, like a nice Highland Scotch maybe. Hector can maybe help me out here with that, but you know, it's got a nice boldness to it. The Paul John single malt whiskey from the Nirvana from India. Great whiskey. I mean, thanks for introducing me to it, Hector.
Absolutely, and I think the guys need to understand what worked in the last cocktail as well. There's beautiful texture coming through from the honey note. What the 6-row barley does to this whiskey is it also brings that textural note, so you get this sort of almost buttery feeling on the palate. And that's just by changing from 2-row to 6-row barley. So a very small change that helps them actually with the evaporation problem that they have with the heat, but a lovely textural note that comes through there.
Yeah, 100%. So with that textural note, I mean, I thought like a nice red wine, and you know, obviously I like locals, so I wanted to go like Pinotage, whatever. And I mean, I think Pinotage is a great one, and so is Merlot. We've used some Merlot as well. But this is a wine that Hector actually brought us for this, and this wine is phenomenal. I mean, maybe you can ask him offline for that, but I want more of this, Hector. That's what I'm saying. And then obviously we played on the honey flavors. So we just took a honey, we diluted it 1-to-1 water to honey. That was it. Basic, simple honey. Honey water is what we call it. And then obviously that's just to sweeten it up. And then we did coffee bitters. Now, coffee bitters you can probably buy. It should be available on the market soon in South Africa. There's a brand called Bitter Truth that should be bringing that in. But we made our own. So we just took normal Angostura bitters, which is the household bitters forever. It has been around for forever. And we literally took some coffee grinds, just normal ground coffee, and poured out the bitters into a jar and added that grounds to the jar. And that's it. Just a day infusion. Simple like that. The bitters has got a nice spice to it that supports that coffee note. And that's all we did. So super simple cocktail that you can make at home as well. So for this, we need either a martini glass or a small wine glass or a coupe glass if you have one. If you want to go manly or on the rocks, you can also go tumbler glass over ice. But I think this drink is perfect with no ice. I'll
Which
use
one,
this.
Owen?
Say again?
Which glass is best?
Simone, your coupe, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
That one. Okay. So because we're serving this up, and that's the term, I'm being told to make 2 here for my audience. Okay, I'll make 2. Because we're serving it up, and up means that you're serving it with no ice or no mixer, basically. So in the case of that, we want to chill our glass beforehand because you want to keep it as cold as possible. So I'll make 2. For Pete LeBees, I'm sure some of you know who that is. That loud guy, the naughty loud one.
Oh my God.
Okay, and then the other piece of equipment we need would be our shaker. Now, you guys can take the top off. This is the lid of the pre-piece. Take the whole thing off, put that aside. We don't need that now. We need our jigger for measuring, obviously. And then we need a bar spoon because this is a stir drink. We're going to stir this one down. Now, if you did wonder why we stir and shake drinks, the rule of thumb is generally you will stir something that's a bit more spirit forward, that doesn't have a lot of juice or any juice in it, or, you know, like sugars that's hard to mix up, or egg whites or anything like that. So clear drinks. So think Negroni, Martini, Manhattan, those kind of drinks. So you want to get that nice crystal shimmer on it, and that's why you would stir it generally. Obviously to get it cold and to mix it up and to add dilution. Basic, just off. All right. So in our shaker, let me just get my my recipe here because I forget things.
And
okay.
for those of you that have got a spare little something, Minley, I'm not sure if you've tasted this Paul John before, and Dean, I know Shane, you definitely haven't. Clifford, you've had way too much of it. You might like to just try it neat before you carry on with Owen's recipe.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Please feel free to pour yourself a little touch there. It's really amazing whiskey.
It's one of my, I think it's one of my favorite stories. Like, I don't know, I did a tasting, I think it was with Hector and the Paul John guy, and I just loved the stories. I was also blown away by the amount of whiskey they sell across the range and how many they have. It's, I've still got to taste the Kanya, which Hector has given me, which is the female expression of their range, which is just another beautiful, beautiful story. So again, I always love those stories, and that's what grabs me about this whole range.
Yeah, it's just a very different product as well. That's what I like. It's not something that you see every day or find every day. And again, the story really does help the product. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Ready. I'm ready.
So
Bit
for this
spastic,
one,
but I'm ready.
we're going to do the Paul John Havana 40 mils. Okay, so that means not all the way to the top. We want to go little bit from the top, about a pinky from the top. A baby pinky. So, you know, I mean, this is 50 mils, so I'm sure you can gauge it kind of out where you should be for 40 mils. That goes into our shaker. Oh, I'm making 2, so I'm going to pour 2 of those. Okay. All right, so that's that. And I mean, that's the thing is also, if you're stirring a cocktail, you can do, let me find you a proper exclusive stirring beaker. I'll show you guys the proper tools that we generally use for this kind of. Okay, so this is a metal stirring beaker, but you do get these in glass as well. If you are a home bar enthusiast like Dean, I know you are one. You get yourself a stirring beaker, and the metal ones are great because they don't break so easily. You know, and obviously we travel a lot as bartenders, so your glass, it becomes expensive. You get some really fancy ones, and this is what the glass looks like. So the glass is nice. I mean, if you pull this out of your friends there or whatever, this is a great little conversation starter, I would say. These are epic. I love them. They you can get them from Copper Monkey actually. If you want to go check out their site, that's George Hunter. And then, I mean, we just included a free piece in this. It's easy because you got two. You got a tool, and you can do it. You can do many things with it, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, so our liquid's in there. Then over here, the little bottle you got in there is the red wine mixed with honey syrup and a bit of bitters. And with that, we want to put in basically 1.5 shots. So you can go small size of your jigger, 1 full one, and 1 half a one. So this is a premix, and you can really premix stuff if you are entertaining as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But also generally it would be honey syrup, wine, and bitters on its own. Did I put in 2 here? Okay, I need to put in another one. All right, so that's basically our whole cocktail in there, and that's what the Manhattan is. It's a simple 3-ingredient drink. It's like the old fashioned or like the Negroni, same sort of vibe. So in our shaker, you want to fill that with ice. Not full, but put enough ice in. Just waiting for Dean. He's coming. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So guys, so if you are doing this at home, I mean, no one really sees you. You could just roll it around like this for a while and get the stir on. But for the sake of the people at home and you guys, let's do a stir exercise. So basically stirring, you want to try and keep the back of your spoon to the inside of your stirring beaker or your shaker, and you want to keeping that back of the spoon against that. So you're just going to sort of loosen your fingers up a bit and keep the back of that spoon against the inside of your stirring beaker or your shaker, and you're just going to move the ice around. Okay, and it shouldn't be noisy or crazy. It should just be elegant, nice and elegant. Like it's silent. Yeah, there's nothing going on. Nothing. Okay. And the nice thing about stirring in metal is, in shakers especially, you can see how nice and cold it gets. So that indicates temperature, obviously. And then you can, I saw Dean do it now, you can go and taste it on the back of your hand. Just give it a bit of a taste. And the balance is really up to you and who you have over as guests. So if it tastes good to you, if the balance is right, it's not too strong, it's not too weak, it's not too bitter, it's not too sweet, then you're pretty much there. And that's all you need. Okay. So for this one,
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So is the ice there to cool it and dilute it a bit, or just to cool it?
So the ice is there, yes, to cool it and dilute it. That's the main reason for stirring. Yeah. Okay. So the 3-piece shaker, you can see it's got a small lid and a bigger one that's got a built-in strainer. So you want to just take the one piece off. You might have to, because they're quite new, you might have to just turn it. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so you can use that, put it on top of your shaker, dump out the ice in your glass. Make sure you empty. And then we're just gonna go and strain. You don't have to fine strain because you didn't shake it, so there was no ice breaking up or anything like that. And Simone, also to answer your question, so generally when you shake drinks, you add a bit of aeration to it. So you add a bit of air to it, and that really wakes it up, creates a bit of a fizz on the drink. Whereas in stir drinks, you don't get that. So when you have wine in a cocktail, generally the best way is to stir it, because you keep the sort of, you keep the wine alive. Otherwise, you just water it down too much and you put too much air in it and you don't taste the wine anymore. Okay, so that's basically our drink. We need to garnish it. In this case, we're going to go simple. Do you guys have a peeler, a wide peeler or something like that?
I have a grater.
I have a pink one, of course.
Okay, so what we want to do is just sort of get a piece of the skin. You need that. Just a piece of lemon skin, and that's why we use a peeler. It's just easier. You can also use a knife and cut sort of on the side. Dean, you've got a grater, so you can literally just grate some over your drink if you want to. That's also fine. 100%.
I used a knife. That's all good.
Go for it. Okay.
Is that too? That seems quite big. That's quite big. What must I do with that?
Break that in half. Break that in half.
Okay.
Nice. Nice job. When I make a potato leek soup, Simone, I'm getting you
exactly over. Yeah, many years of being the grater in my house.
So we've got your skin of lemon. So you want to face the skin part towards your drink, and just with 2 fingers gently just press and express the oil over your cocktail. That's it. And then you can just give the glass a bit of a rim, I guess, or a rub. And just get all those oils on, and you can literally just drop the skin inside, and there we go. That's your cocktail.
I'm trying to do cocktails by candlelight here, so I don't know if you can see it. But,
beautiful.
Yeah, but geez, I tell you what, it's like, what did we have before, like electricity? Eh?
I must say, Hector, that candle makes you look a lot younger. So that's something you should carry with you at all times.
Look, I'm well aware that the lighting really does suit my complexion.
Oh, and that's delicious, mate. Really,
wow,
really.
that is incredible.
So this one, again, if you have all the ingredients separately, it's much better to control the sweetness and so on. So for me personally, this premix is a bit on the sweet side.
Yeah.
I feel like if you made it at home, you can probably control the honey a bit better and add less honey, make it a bit less sweet. I like it more dry. So.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
I think what amazes me, and I've had Owen make a few wine combination cocktails, and I'm always so nervous of it. I feel like red wine with whiskey. I mean, a lot of people I know say like, "Oh boy, that's gonna smash me," and every time he does it, it's just so elegant, and it surprises me because I think a lot of people are scared of that wine and whiskey, wine and gin combination. So, but it is quite a big trend. We've seen like with gin and wine cocktails, it's our biggest sellers. And red wine, I think Owen did one with with our Musgrave copper and licorice syrup and red wine, and I was totally nervous of it, and it just brings such elegance, but it's kind of a scary space. So whenever I taste it, I'm so surprised at the beauty of it.
Yeah, and
Just
we
a little
also have some
backstory.
really great wine.
Sorry,
Go
sorry,
for
just
it.
a little. Can you hear me there now?
Yeah.
Go Hector.
Just a little backstory. Owen's made this drink a couple of events ago for us, and he used a Merlot, and I thought it really worked. But I was convinced that the 6-row barley and the coffee were always going to be friends. But the Merlot kind of covered it up a little bit. But the wine that we use this time, I don't know if you've tasted it yet, Owen, but wow, that coffee hero finish is absolutely incredible. It sneaks right in the back end of the palate, just like a peated whiskey would. You just get that lovely sort of, most Shirazes tend to feel like you're going towards that beautiful coffee note, but this one actually delivers it. You're getting the balance, and the texture is beautiful up front, and then this wonderful coffee note just hits you on the back end, which is absolutely incredible. Well done, Owen.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it's very beautiful.
I'll also say like the pinotage is nice, because pinotage is generally for me has a bit of a coffee chocolate note to it. But yeah, that's it. You need a wine that can really deliver that nice coffee note to work with the honey, and 100%. That's it. So also, I wouldn't say don't go for something too bold. I mean, let the whiskey shine, because the whiskey is still the star of the show here. So that's
what is the alcohol content here?
So in the cocktail, in the glass, I mean, I can work it for you out exactly, but it's probably sitting on about 9% in the glass.
What's the whiskey content, alcohol content though?
43.
Is it
43?
Okay.
So Dean, give us your take on this.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it's a bit sweet, but I mean, it's nearly finished, so I'm clearly enjoying it. But I think, as you said, like, it's a bit, when you see wine, or especially sort of red wine in a cocktail, you kind of also think, whoa, like, where's this going? But it's really incredible and really refreshing, but at the same time also like quite a wintry drink. So the
100%.
balance is perfect. I think the balance of the ingredients are perfect. As Owen said, I would have gone a little less sweet with it, but I really enjoy it.
100%.
I think for me, like, it's what I've learned. Sorry, carry on.
I just wanted to say, and Dean, what I said earlier, you can control it. You can control the sweetness, and it's such a simple recipe. You can really just add a touch of honey, and honey really shines through as well, so you don't need a lot, actually.
Yeah. So what I've learned, and over the years of, it's great when you go to a bar and Owen's made all these syrups, and actually, if you just spend an hour making these syrups and bottle them and put them in your fridge, it's so great to have those available. So during lockdown, when I was doing some cocktail videos to keep our social media alive and let people know we're still here, I spent like a day just making some syrups of stuff that I had. I was cleaning out my tea cupboard and then I had this like little bank of syrups in my fridge. And then you can make yourself like such a beautiful, elegant drink in the evening. So like the actual making of it isn't the issue. It's the prep of the syrups generally that I find. And it seems so daunting, but actually they're super simple to make. So it's like, give yourself a little bank of syrups in your door of your fridge, and then make yourself like a super awesome cocktail, especially since we can't go out and have a life.
Or alternatively, the reason we're also doing this tonight is just phone Owen, let him send you the box with all the premixes, all the recipes, so you don't have to, because some of us remain lazy in person and in soul. So I think that's also the thing. So just bear in mind, everybody, that Owen is selling these packs pre-mixed as what we receive them right now. So it is an opportunity for you to also go out there. And I mean, a box will work you out from sort of closer to 900 Rand, but you're getting 12 full-blown cocktails out of it. So it's not even 100 Rand a cocktail. He's put all the effort in. He's got the balance right. He's done it all for you. You just sort of put it together, sort of almost drink by numbers, just color them in and get it going. So well done, Owen. And I hopefully they'll end the bloody lockdown so we can actually get the people.
Let's be honest. We're all having people around. to, you know, even if it's like a few. And it's so awesome to walk in your house and offer them a hot punch cocktail, or so it's kind of bringing that a little bit of excitement to our lives. So I know that we're going to be doing on our online shop, we're going to be supporting some events who've always been our preferred. I mean, Owen literally did our very first Musgrave original cocktail ever 5 years ago when we started. So we're going to be supporting him by, these guys have been hit, we've all been hit, but we're going to be selling his cocktail kits, and they're going to keep changing with the season. So I'm super excited to keep like cocktails at home, and maybe people will actually be less scared of them and order them more when they go out too. Because I think people are scared. Like, I'm scared of making cocktails and I'm in this game. But a day making syrups, you could get hammered while you make them. And then you can just have them in your fridge.
That would be irresponsible, Simone, so we won't be doing that.
No, but it's in my own home by myself. I social distance even with myself.
I think if I can just add if I can add my 2 cents, I think what's really interesting about this cocktail, that all, you know, making the syrups and so on, is that it's a real conversation piece. You know, it's not just a run-of-the-mill flavor profile that you're getting. It's quite complex. It's really intricate, and nobody who's going to drink this is going to sit back and just carry on. You know, they're going to stop what they're doing, and so I mean that's the great thing. And especially the syrups, Simone, you were saying. You know, people talk about their drinks, and it comes back, I think, to the whole responsible consumption thing as well. You know, people take an interest. They're savoring their drinks. They're not just rushing through them.
Yes, and it's, you know, for me, I have one of these, and it's just such a delight. And really, after that, you know, you have a glass of wine with your meal. But it's the conversation. It's chefy. It's flavors. It's not just drinking for drinking's sake. And it's bringing that consciousness back to that moment. I've always said, like, Musgrave is a moment, and let's have a beautiful moment rather than try and kind of finish a bottle. So
can I ask Winnie a question on this, because I think she might share my opinion. We're both very much fans of our wine and of our spirits, but possibly separate, not in the same glass at the same time. How do you feel about this cocktail, Winnie?
I quite enjoyed it. I must say I'd go with less wine because I don't like to mix wine and spirits, but I love the overall balance of it and the different flavors. And for me, I just would put less wine in it.
Okay.
Awesome. Okay, I think let's move on to the. Oh, Shane, you want to say something?
I want to say something.
On something, I think it was Clifford or somebody was saying about these, with what we're doing tonight, and the mixes and the syrups and whatever. And we're talking about being responsible and all that kind of stuff. But also, I think that what we struggle with in the category is making it sexy to the broader market and not just to the premium market. And when I look at what we're doing here now, sometimes I think we get lost in the fact that we are talking to ourselves and not to try and get people to try these things, because there's barriers to entry. Like, why do we have to use necessarily, in this particular instance, I think that the peat saved this drink, by the way, Hector. I think that if it wasn't a peat, I think this drink would suffer. Boulevardia, for example, doesn't need peat, but it's brilliant because I think that it's not a sweet necessarily. But my point here was just to pick up on what Clifford was saying, what Simone was saying, is that how do we then take these absolutely brilliant messages that we're trying to put out and broaden the market? Because right now, for me, again, we're talking to what would seem to be an exclusive kind of brand. And City Port Miss Musgrave, but you know what I'm saying?
No, Shane, sorry,
Yeah,
I agree. I actually agree with you, because I think that in order for people to start enjoying things, and I mean, it's the same with wine, for example. Most people start drinking sweet wine because it's the sweetness that entices them, and eventually they go drier and drier. And the same, if I can just go back to the Musgrave brandy, Simone has made 2 completely different brandies that are actually, for me, a progression one on the other. I would always give the vanilla one to somebody who's never had brandy before, because it's light in texture. It's not light in flavor, but it's light in taste. And there are also very many familiar tastes in there, like the vanilla. So it's something that you already know when you taste it, and now all of a sudden it's just in this beautiful drink and this beautiful packaging, and that is what makes them buy it again. And then the next time they'll say, oh, I see there's a copper in the range. Let's try that one. And the same for me with whiskies. And I mean, you and I have had this conversation before about whiskey. I'm not a very big peated whiskey drinker, but having tasted so many of them, one also realizes there's peat and peat, and quality, or quality and non-quality. And there's a place for all of them. But for me, it's always a progression of drinking better and wider and experimenting. And that's why these cocktails are so fantastic. And I know, Owen, that I said I'd like less red wine, but if this gets people to drink these beautiful products, I'm all for it. I mean, I didn't not like it. I loved it very much. I just think for me, if I made it again, I would make it with less red wine. And I quite like it sweet. Thank you.
I think I agree with you, Winnie. I think accessibility is very much like something I've always spoken about. I'm learning about brandy with the consumer. I literally am. That's why the vanilla for me was so accessible. Like everyone knows what vanilla tastes like. So when the very first time that I went with Johan Venter and I sat down and looked at brandies, and he gave us a 21 and a 3 and a 15 and a 12, I knew nothing. It was the first time really I've tasted brandy. And by the way, that was 18 months ago. But I wanted something that I could relate to. So I'm just not a fan of snobbery. We have this luxury brand that we talk about, but essentially what are we trying to do? We're trying to open up the category. And if where you start in a cocktail has red wine, or that might be a good place to start, because I know what red wine tastes like. Oh my word, I've never had whiskey with it. But it's kind of a nice starting point. And that's why I say go into your cupboard and make some syrups. The basic syrup is, Owen's told me this, equal quantities of sugar and water. Throw in a chamomile tea bag and you've got a chamomile syrup. And this is what I love about this playful space. It's just like cooking. Go into your cupboard, see what you have, mix it with some stuff. I mean, vanilla goes with oranges, goes with chocolate, goes with lots of things, and play.
Exactly.
And you'll be quite surprised.
Start with the familiar and work out from there.
Yeah.
But also,
that's what 2 Max and a Dram is all about, introducing people to different drams in different ways. And obviously we're sharing opinions with each other on this platform, but certainly for all our viewers, it's about discovering the new flavors. I think we need to move on because I'm sure Insta Eats needs to be making dinner at some stage. Don't you have something you're going to post about food?
Yeah, there has to be some food.
Anyone for a chip?
So
Absolutely.
Take us on a journey, Owen.
Okay, cool, guys. So I just want to touch on what everyone's also, Winnie and Shane and everyone. So yes, that's exactly what we are trying to do with these products that we are gonna be launching soon onto the market. And I mean, we've got one done. We teamed up with the likes of Gordon's. Obviously, I'm chatting with Simone. We're gonna put some really cool stuff together. I'm really loving what Hector's bringing to the table. A couple of his brands. And we're going to bring some special stuff to you guys. Now, when I say special, I don't mean inaccessible, and that the whole idea of what we're trying to do is, and again, I don't want to give too much away here, but, we want to show the consumer at home that it's not hard to make a world-class cocktail. It's not hard to make a difficult cocktail. I mean, the experience you guys are getting now is not even the full experience, and we hope to share it with you, obviously, when we get there. But the idea is that you have full access to me on a video in front of you, showing you exactly how to do this. What is a sugar syrup and how can you make it yourself? Exactly like that, and what Hector's saying, we make it as easy as possible for you guys, but we still feel that we want to educate people at home to be able to have a quality drinking experience at home. And again, that falls in with responsible drinking and having low sugar drinks and healthier drinks and all of these kind of things, and that's what we want to focus on. So We will go as far as arming you with the sugar syrup already made, so you don't have to waste time on that because it's actually such a simple thing to do. But you can flavor it with like dehydrated grapefruit, for example, and make grapefruit flavored syrup. And that's kind of what we're aiming at doing, you know, when we're going live again, which hopefully would be soon. But yeah, we will be launching a couple of experiences for you guys online very soon. So keep an eye on that. But let's make the next one.
Cool.
And just while Owen moves over to make the next one, I just would like to know that load shedding has got to me. I've got 7% battery life, so I might not actually make the end of this. The next drink is Isla Journey. It's a blended malt from the Isle of Isla, so it's all Scotch whiskey inside there. This is that peat that some people like, some people hate. But I think when you taste this cocktail, because I've done this with Owen before, it is absolutely exceptional. It takes the classic sour and it makes it accessible, bold, but so creative and so delicious. So if I don't make it to the end, cheers to everybody. Hopefully Guy will take you through the end of it, but get into that cocktail. It really is great. There's nothing better than a smoked strawberry, I can assure you that. So over to you, Owen.
Thanks, Hector. Yeah, cheers if we don't see you. Yeah, so on this one, I mean, we really worked with obviously the smoky flavors in this whiskey, the peat, and then also, you know, it's got a nice fruitiness to it going on there, and that's kind of what we played with here, obviously. So we thought like a whiskey sour is obviously the most basic whiskey drink out there, in my opinion. I mean, other than a whiskey highball, which is literally whiskey and soda. But we're gonna do a whiskey sour, and this one is a bit twisted. So you should have a little bottle that's got a strawberry and ginger syrup. Now, the way we would make this is literally sugar syrup blended with fresh ginger to get that nice, fresh, zingy ginger flavors. And then we took a good quality strawberry jam. So in this case, I mean, it doesn't even have to be that good quality, and nothing wrong with Rhodes. I love Rhodes, one of my favorite brands. And just the strawberry jam like that, sugar syrup, some fresh ginger, and that's the strawberry premix that you guys have here. So this is strawberry jam and ginger syrup already premixed. So a sour is basically spirit of any kind, sugar. In this case, we got our strawberry syrup. And in a sour of any kind, in most cases, sours are made with lemon. Okay, that is usually the sour we use. But these days, I mean, we're really playing with some fancy stuff. We've got some acid mixes that we're doing with like citric acids and malics and all of that. But you know, lemons are accessible. You can buy them all year round. They're pretty cheap. Good for you as well. Very healthy. Great to have these at home. So keep them around all the time. And that's basically what you need. And then we obviously need the Isla Journey. And then if you are up for this, an egg. The egg white is what we're going to use. So the egg white adds a bit of texture and mouthfeel to your drink, but also a little touch of flavor. Now, if you are in any chance, or by any chance vegan, or vegetarian, you can use something like chickpea brine, for example. So just your can of chickpeas, you pour that off the brine, and you can use that as your emulsifier, is what we call it in the bar world. And I mean, they use it in the kitchen as well. And you can also use something like a foaming cellulose. Cellulose comes from like seaweed, basically, and is like a plant-based protein that just helps you with that same mouthfeel and texture. That's all it is. You don't really need it. So if you want to leave it off, you're welcome to leave it off, but it does make your drink look beautiful. Simone is already separated there, I can see. So first step first, I guess, let's all separate the eggs. So if you haven't done this before, maybe Simone can tell us how.
Or you just go and buy liquid egg whites.
Or that.
You could, but the best way to, so the Jamie Oliver way is to break the egg into your hand and keep your fingers slightly open, and then you hold that little yolk and the sloppy white falls through your fingers. It's a bit messy, but like it's quite a great way to do it. And then that's it. And then you give the cat the egg yolk and you use the white.
Exactly. That's how you do it. Or you get an egg separator.
You can do that, but you know.
Yeah, the other way is also to break it into like a little ball. Have you guys seen life hacks where you use a plastic bottle and you just sort of press it and it pulls the egg yolk out? I just wanted to show you guys out of interest sake. So these are cured egg yolks. So basically, I mean, at SIP Exclusive, we try not to waste. Obviously, we try and really use everything we can. So what I did here was literally just the egg yolk that you got left over into a bowl. You add a bit of salt and sugar to that, and the salt and sugar draws out all the moisture. And what you are left with are these like candied hard egg yolks, and you can use that like sliced up on desserts. If you get them dry enough, they become kind of like cheese, like a bit cheesy, and you can literally use that to grate over some food or salads or whatever. They're really nice and creamy. Just an idea, if you are using egg whites and you don't want to throw away the egg yellow, you can keep it and do something with it. Or you can make a custard out of it later, Dean, when you're making dinner. Yeah, there we go.
That's a good idea. Sounds like a great dinner.
Okay, so the eggs in. So my rule for egg cocktail is always... Sorry, Shane?
No, don't mind me.
My rule for egg cocktails are always a little pinch of salt. Okay. So
how much egg whites are we putting in?
Egg white, you want to put in 15 mils, Dean. So about half a shot. Yeah. So you can use a little touch of salt. We also make, to make our lives easier, we make what we call a saline solution, which is just usually around 1 part of salt to 4 parts of water. And that's it. That's all. You can do a 1-to-1 even if you want to, which is 1 water, 1 salt. And then you can just do a couple of drops in there. Okay, salt's important. All right, so now that we have all of that in, let's start with our whiskey. We've got our Isla Journey. So we're gonna go full 50 mils, full 50 mLs, double shot.
So that's egg.
And also, guys, do yourself a favor, taste this. If you do like Isla whiskey, this is a really phenomenal product. Amazing. I love it.
Owen, I got confused. How much salt?
Oh, just a pinch, Simone. Just a little.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Depends on how sweet you are and how much you want to balance yourself, I guess.
Very not very balanced at the moment, I can tell you that.
Yeah, no, I know.
To get 15 mils of egg whites into a thing.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It all goes like slop. And
mils.
then I've done it 4 times now.
I
just put
the whole egg white into your mouth and then dribble out as much as you can.
No, Shane.
Egg white.
15 mils.
You've got to like cut it.
Okay.
Or maybe a syringe.
I just put the whole egg white in, guys. I just put the whole
Jesus, I think I put it all in. Okay, mine's going to be quite eggy.
I just put the whole egg white.
I'm going for a waffle. I'm going for an omelette here.
Mine is a whole one.
Oh, I put a whole one in. So usually in the bar, we will always make 2 drinks of one.
Okay, I'm making 2.
So 1 whole egg is perfect for 2 drinks, but sometimes if I make one whole egg goes in. That's it. And obviously, if you guys are using eggs, make sure they're organic, make sure they're fresh, keep them in the fridge. Don't use 10-day-old eggs.
My neighbors have got chickens outside. I just went and got one now.
There's it. Done deal.
Free range.
It sounds like you need to move in with your neighbors, Shane. They have everything.
Well, they're vegetarian as well, and they get a whole lot of that foam shit that you spoke about. I've got a bit of that in here as well. And my salads are chops.
Amazing. Okay, so then your strawberry ginger syrup. We want to do a full shot of that. 1 full shot. Oh. Now guys, like Hector said, these boxes we will also have available for pre-order on our site. Currently for our exercise here, I've only included like 2 cocktails in the box basically, but we'll probably include about 4 cocktails or 4 drinks per spirit in the box.
And are you allowed to sell these syrups at the moment?
We can sell the syrups, yeah, 100%. That's non-alcoholic. Yeah.
Oh, okay, the non-alcoholic ones.
Yeah, anything non-alcoholic you can buy from us. You know, premixes, stuff like that. That's 100% fine. Obviously, alcohol is not allowed. So if you have your own alcohol at home, great. You can buy the premixes. You know, you can still get ice from us and glassware and equipment if you want to.
You can do 750 ml Musgrave coppers in clear bottles with your syrup labels on.
You know we live, Shay.
Oh my.
So don't get me started.
Okay.
Depends on the stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so we got our lemon, right?
Mhm.
So again, the same thing, guys. We want to squeeze the lemon. We want to cut it in half like that. And you can use the one that you've peeled off for your Nirvana cocktail, right? So you can use the same one. So generally with this, I would pre-squeeze this. So if you are entertaining at home, pre-squeeze a couple of lemons so you have the juice. In this case, we need about 20 mils just because it is fresh. Fresh lemons tend to be a lot more acidic. So you want to do about 20 mils of this. I'm going to use my juice press. And into my jigger, my measuring tool, I'm going to basically squeeze in 20 mils. Okay, if you don't have that, squeeze it separately on the side and then just measure it out. That's it. Okay. And that's it, guys. That's it. Whiskey, syrup, sour, and egg for texture, and a bit of salt. And then also, if you feel like it, if you do have any bitters, obviously I suggest something like a grapefruit bitters or a peach bitters in this, but you can also add a drop of that if you want to, no problem. All right. So now we want to basically ice this up.
Lemon go into it.
So you want to get some ice in there? Yeah. We want to put the lid with the strain on, like that.
Does the lemon go into this concoction?
No, the lemon juice into your mix, yeah. And then your small lid you also want to put on. Okay.
What is our glass choice? Tumbler.
Tumbler glass, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Which you can basically, if you want to, fill with ice in the meantime. Okay, so shaking sour, because you've got the egg in there, you want to get it quite, you want to give it a bit of proper shake. All right. And the idea here is to give it this kind of motion. Can you guys see? And you want to do it a bit hard, so you want to go. Yeah, are you with me? So, two hands. Okay. Yeah, I like bean shake. That's like a proper. So like this, whatever, you can go here. Okay. Again, you want to get it nice and cold, nice and frozen. And the whole idea here is to shake it proper so you can aerate it and get that egg white really mixed up and aerated, right? So that's why we do this little motion. Okay.
That is
How
cold.
to open this guy, just have to turn and pull upright. Oops. Now, and that's it. We don't need to fine strain or anything. We're going over ice, so you can just go. You can roll it a bit if you want to, and pour some more. Okay. Right, cool, guys. So that's our basic whiskey sour. Now, in the box, I included a packet of strawberries. These are biodegradable.
Strawberries or the packet?
The packet and the strawberries.
I like these guys.
Here is Dean.
Dean, you and I need to have a chat, young man.
All right, and you can just cut that in half, guys, just like that. Put it on top, so that will also be nice and fragrant. It looks beautiful. It looks pretty. if you're feeling too manly and you don't want to have a pink drink at home, leave the strawberry off. That's it. Simple, just like that. And there we go.
Wow.
That's
Smaakt so
fantastic.
lekker, want
Thank
dit
you,
is
Owen.
so lekker.
Yes.
So I think it's a good time to go back and have a look at the cocktails that we've had. Let's start off with the Light My Fire, and that was Winnie and Shane that we want to see.
Were they competing? I didn't even know that. We're having a competition.
Yeah, we won. Winnie and I won.
We definitely won. It was the best cocktail by far. Thank you. Moving along. Thank you very much.
And there's
everybody.
no
Love you.
pictures. There's no evidence. Nothing to see.
No
Hey?
evidence.
We drank it. It got cold. We didn't want it to get cold.
Awesome. Awesome,
Dean and
Owen. That's
Simone?
delicious.
You want to
Thank
show
you.
us the Nirvana cocktails that you made?
Beautiful.
That
So
was
great mouthfeel.
that was it.
That
Mine's
was
a
it.
little eggy.
Yeah, the eggy, so like Simone's saying, it's a bit eggy. And that's again, guys, that's the eggs needs to be really, really fresh, and that's the best. And then a little bit of salt really helps that. But also, if you find it a bit
Delicious.
eggy, Simone, if you find it a bit eggy, it means you either didn't shake it hard enough.
I think I put too much in. It just went like, I kind of had to make two. I made two, but it's the mouth feels amazing.
That's the man. We noticed yours actually slid out the shaker.
I know, exactly.
And you can,
You
that's
know,
also what I'm saying.
that's why we have Owen who makes these for us.
Yes, exactly. You can also add a drop of bitters on top, obviously, which helps you with the nose, the smell.
But it's delicious, actually. I mean, it's got all the whiskey, it's got all this flavor. So
yeah,
love it.
the smoked strawberry is beautiful.
I was very afraid of the egg, and actually, I'm not really tasting it now.
Taste that.
Yeah, delicious.
Manly and Clifford, let's see yours.
What's left of it?
Yeah.
Excellent. Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Push it forward.
Beautiful.
Amazing.
It's what's really
Guys?
fantastic is the whiskey comes through amazingly in this. I mean, it just works
It
with
does.
the strawberry and the saltiness. I don't know, it's just superb.
And the
I don't know whether
smokiness.
it's the Isla saltiness that it's kind of picking up and highlighting, that little extra pinch, but it's magnificent. It's really, really good.
Don't you think don't you think it makes it quite savory, Clifford?
Yes,
That
absolutely.
salt, and you want to chew it.
But you've still got that strawberry ginger sweetness, that note that's, I don't know, maybe that's just the balance, but it's beautiful. It's really, really fantastic.
I love
mean,
the salt.
Yes.
Well,
I think all three drinks are really well balanced.
Well done, Owen.
Thank you.
congratulations. Well done, Owen.
Thank you, guys.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Hector, you want to share any final words before we wrap?
Just to say thank you very much to everybody who participated. We know it probably lasted a lot longer than we thought it would, but thanks a lot. Sorry about load shedding, so I can't participate properly. But the drinks were all great. Well done, Simone, on bringing a 200 ml of a quality drink to the shelves. And that's what it's about, guys. Creativity, sharing, and that's the key, sharing. You know, far often we guard secrets that we don't necessarily have to. You know, once you share it, then everyone can experience it with you, and that's the bottom.
Absolutely. I would love to see every brand bring a 200 ml and sexy up that category. So the more, I always say, the more pink gins there are, the better it is for everyone. So cheers.
Cheers.
Well,
Cheers.
cheers.
Thanks,
Cheers,
thanks,
guys.
Guy and Hector.
Thank you.
To
Yeah,
each
thank
and
you, Owen.
every-
Thanks, Hector, and thanks, Guy, for everything. I mean, this is a load of fun, and definitely going to recommend it to I mean, anybody. It's absolutely worth it. Thank you.
Yeah, guys,
Excellent.
keep checking my site. We are launching some cool stuff coming up, and like I said, we are working with the likes of Simone and a couple of other really cool brands out there. So we've got some cool stuff coming your way. So we hope you enjoy it.
Fab.
Well,
I'm not sure whether,
Thanks for attending.
I'm not sure whether I should thank each of you in order of age. We won't do that because we might have to start with someone that is not on the screen at the moment. But thank you very much, Clifford, Winnie, Shane, Minley, Simone, and of course, last but not least, Owen, and of course to you watching on Facebook. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, it's fine.
And Dean,
Thanks,
things to eat. Until
Dean, the most
the
important.
next 2 Max and a Dram, we say Slangeva.